next tool in our arsenal for tackling quadratic equations to find roots, etc., is something called the quadratic formula. Now, the quadratic formula relies on the fact that every quadratic is in the following form. A in front of x squared plus b in front of x plus c at the end. And a, b and c can be any number at all, but it relies on the fact that our function can be written in that form. The next question is, what does the quadratic formula look like? Well, it's at the very front of your test paper, and it is the final result at the bottom. And it says, to find roots, x will be equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. This is our quadratic formula, and it is absolutely essential for us calculating roots when factorisation isn't easy. The first example we are going to look through for the quadratic formula is the same one we did when we're doing our non-formulaic methods. So when we're factorising, splitting, solving. And it is f of x equals x squared plus x take away 2. Now step 1 is going to be find a, b, c. So we look back and we say, well, a is the bit in front of x squared, so that's 1. B's in front of x, so that's going to be an invisible 1. And c is minus 2 at the end. We now get to look at step 2, which is substitute. So we take those values and we put them into our quadratic formula. So x equals minus 1 plus or minus the square root. B is equal to 1, so 1 squared, minus 4. And remember, 4ac, that's 4 times a times c. So 4 times 1 times minus 2. All over 2 times 1, 2 times a. Okay, fantastic. We're ready for step 3, which is simplify. And what this means is at the moment this is a bit unmanageable. So you're going to clear up all of your negatives and you're going to get ready to put those into the calculator when the time comes. So 1 squared is 1. Take away 4 times 1 times minus 2, so that's minus 4 times minus 2. Minus times a minus, we're going to end up with positive 8 there. All over 2 times 1, so just 2. But we can take that a step further, and 1 plus 8, we can actually simplify down to just 9 by itself, okay? Take as many steps as you need to simplify. Don't rush it. But now, we are so close to being as simple as we ever can be. We've just got to think to ourselves, what is the square root of 9? So we're going to have minus 1 plus or minus 3 all over 2. And you can't go much further than that, so we have to look at our next step. Step 4 is split. And it relies on the same idea as before. We're looking for 2 roots here. We have 2 roots, it's just disguised by that symbol in the middle. So what this means is actually there are 2 answers here. One of the answers is going to be negative 1 plus 3 divided by 2. And the second answer is going to be negative 1 take away 3 divided by 2. So, split we get -1 plus 3 over 2, or so x equals, or -1 take away 3 divided by 2. And we solve each of those separately. So -1 plus 3 divided by 2, you're going to get the answer of 1. And -1 take away 3 divided by 2, we're going to get -2. So your two roots are the exact same as they were when we factorised, split and solved as when we used the quadratic formula. What I'd like you to see is, yes, the quadratic formula would have worked had we chosen to use it, but it does take a lot more working. So if you can factorise it, always factorise it first. This is one way such a question could be worded. Solve x squared minus 9x minus 2 equals 0, correct to 3 decimal places. If they tell you to solve, it essentially means find the roots. You're wanting x equals. However, one massive pointer that you are not going to be able to factorise to solve it is this last section here, correct to 3 decimal places. So same as before, step 1, we are saying a equals 1, because that's the bit at the front. B equals -9, because we take the whole thing. And C equals -2. Again, we take the whole thing. We then go to our quadratic formula. So x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We substitute in. So we've got -9 plus or minus the square root of -9 squared, take away 4 times 1 times -2. Okay? All over 2 times 1. So what have we done? We have done step 1, we've identified. We have substituted in. We now need to solve or simplify down. So simplifying this down, -9 minus 9, that's going to be +9, plus or minus, -9 squared, 81, minus times minus, that's going to be the same as before actually, we've got +8 at the end there, all over 2 times 1, so just 2. We can neaten this up a little bit more by just getting the 81 and the 8 together, all over 2. But we can't do anything else because 89 is not a square number. And again, I'm going to draw your attention to this bit highlighted in red. We only need this correct to 3 decimal places. So you have a choice. And the choice is as follows. We'll split it up here so you can see the two methods. Either you split, then solve, or you solve, then split. You'll get the same answers either way. So if you split then solve, we're going to have 9 plus root 89 over 2, or 9 take away root 89 over 2, which you would plug into your calculator and get your answer. The first one's answer is 9.2169 ... And remember, what you're going to do here is round to 3 decimal places, because that's what we were told in the question. So that is going to be 2.17. And the second one's answer is minus 0.43398 ... And the same is true here, that we are only doing it to 3 decimal places. So we have to round to 434. So those are your two roots. you are done. You've got x and x. Fantastic. Let's have a look at solve then split, and you'll see the method doesn't change much, it's just the last two steps are flipped. And what I mean by solve then split is that we find the square root of 89 first. So we have x equals 9 plus or minus, and you go to your calculator and you type in the square root of 89. And we get 9.43, etc. But we get to round it. You then divide that by 2 as before. So we've solved this into a decimal, we've done it to 3 decimal places. You then split it into x equals 9 plus 9.434 divided by 2, and 9 take away 9.434 all divided by 2. To your calculator you go and you type it in, and what will come out is the exact same answers we had before. Now what this means is that you can make an executive decision based on the question of the best way to find the answer.